In this section, we're going to talk about the ecosystem of the wealth management industry and how does that really have to be looked at when we are trying to analyze the wealth management industry. So we're going to basically look at who are the major players in the industry. How do you look at some sort of definitions within the industry? Then look at the global scenario in the industry, right? And then try and look at how does the entire wealth management industry work. So how does the system work in this industry? How does someone make money? How does someone invest? How is the advice given out and all those things? That is basically what is going to be looked at as we extend our understanding to the overall segment as such. All this would fall under the ecosystem of wealth management. So we're first going to understand what are the various kinds of players who are available with a few examples, and there are many more examples that are there in the industry, but we just used a few as names here, right? So let's look at the segment. Who are the major market players in this segment? And we'll take it one by one. So there are a variety of players who can actually work as wealth managers, right? These are people who are going to advise individual clients or individual investors, right? So this is the segment where there are careers that can be built. There are companies that could be opened in order to go and advise someone else on managing their wealth. So that's the wealth management industry per se, right? So who are the major segment players? First, there are the big Indian banks who are there, which are the likes of ICICI Bank and Kotak Bank, who would have their own wealth management arms that are there, and primarily they would take their own banking clients and try and offer them extra services or the entire range of services that we have looked at in the previous segment, right? Then there are global investment banks who are there, like of Citibank, HSBC Bank, who are similar to the banks that we have seen here. They bring in global practices as well. So they bring in global best practices along with them, considered to be some of the top wealth management houses in the country at this point of time, right? So these are the second set of players who recruit a lot of wealth managers and offer these services to primarily their clients who have bank accounts with them. The third segment comes with players who are brokers, or we could also add what is called as NBFC. In other words, non-banking financial companies. These are non-banking financial firms who could be offering the same advisory services. So you would have the likes of Motilal Oswal, Edelweiss Capital, who were initially brokerages, or India Infoline Limited, which was a broker, now has transformed itself into a non-banking financial services company. These are also people who would then offer these services of wealth management, primarily either to their brokerage clients. What is a brokerage? A brokerage is what allows you to go and trade shares in the stock market. So if I want to buy the stock of Infosys, how do I buy that? I need a brokerage account, right? This is a broker who will give me that account. So because I have an account which is being used to buy stocks, they will also be able to kind of have a division which could offer other services to me around wealth management. And hence that's a logical extension for any broker that is available, right? So that's a brokerage client who is going to essentially get the service here. In the first two cases, it's the banking client who's going to get the service, right? So that's an extension that these guys are doing over and above their original service that was there in the market. So that's where the extension starts. Now there is a new segment that is coming up, which is called as digital players, or what is commonly known as robo advisory. So if you search this term robo advisory, you will get to know of many firms in this segment who are basically using digital platforms, primarily online, and they are giving you a lot of services on wealth management. There are a couple which I've listed here. There are others as well. There's something called as InvestZa, and there are various other firms like Funds India, etc., which allow you to basically go on their website and create an account, and they give you advisory on the entire wealth and investment management segment, right? So that's where an individual will basically go to and take advisory from. Now, these are guys who are, they don't have a banking channel, they don't have a brokerage client, so they don't really have a client. So they have to go in the market and acquire clients. Note that in the first three cases, the banks, investment banks, and broker segment, you already had a pool of clients, right? So the first three guys had a pool of clients to whom they are extending this service. The next three don't have a pool of client. So they have to find a client and then offer a proper wealth management solution. So digital players are one over there. Then there are boutique, small boutique wealth management firms. These are independent firms who are essentially, uh, extending some sort of advisory. Again, they will have to find individuals to make their clients and customer base, and then go on giving this advisory as a service. So it's not just another service for these guys, it is the actual service that they are giving. For the bank, it is one of the many services that it gives to a customer. For a boutique firm or a digital player, this is the only advice that is being given. This is the service that is being given. There are lots of these which are available by estimates, at least 100 to 150 of these in each major city in India. Right? You would find the likes of Mitras Financial Services, Hexagon Global, Way to Wealth, etc., who kind of offer these. There are hundreds of these in all major cities. It's a bunch of people, typical size being anywhere between 5 to 25 individuals who would be kind of going ahead and giving advisory on all the services that we saw under wealth management. Some or all of the services of wealth management and investment management are being offered to. And then finally, you have the lowest level of players who are independent advisors. These are called as IFAs. That stands for Independent Financial Advisor, right? Financial advisors. So this could be anyone who's a single person who's trying to help out clients manage money. Then you could also have chartered accountants. A lot of the places in India, chartered accountants kind of double up as investment advisors for their clients as well, right? So these are independent advisors who are going ahead and helping you out in terms of understanding what are the various investment avenues that are there. So the entire industry is basically built of this set of players who are trying to kind of help people manage their money and kind of build a business out of that in terms of getting money out of getting value creation done for that money management, using that money management for the clients, right? Remember that an individual goes to one of these six players in order to get this service. If you have to get advisory or wealth management done, you have to reach to one of these six players in one form or fashion, right? So that's the crux of the key market players who are available in the wealth management industry. Uh, let's look at some market dynamics and some of the major terms that we kind of come across in the segment of wealth management. The first thing is a product manufacturer. Anyone who develops a financial product in which you can invest is termed as a product manufacturer. For example, a bank is a product manufacturer as well. What is called as a mutual fund house is also a product manufacturer. So these are entities which are creating the product in which someone will come and invest, right? That's the manufacturer of product. Anyone who wishes to invest is considered as a client. This is the person for whom everyone is trying to give out the advice. This is the person who is seeking the advice in this particular case. He wants the advice, right? Anyone who helps you execute the transaction. You have to buy something. In some cases, the product manufacturers themselves help you execute the transaction. In some cases, there is an intermediary that is there. Let's say I cannot reach a mutual funds office, then there would be an independent advisor or someone in between who would help me execute the transaction. This could be an intermediary, also a lot of the times known as distributor. Why a distributor? Because this is similar to a distributor in, let's say, the FMCG industry, someone who's distributing soaps, for example. In this particular case, a distributor is distributing financial products as such, right? So that's called an intermediary. An advisor is anyone who provides advice. Now, in a lot of the cases, the intermediaries and advisories is the same role that is taken up by this are both roles that are taken up by the same person or same entity in between, right? Technically they are different because an intermediary only provides the execution, advisor only provides the advice. But obviously, because this is a logical blend, a lot of the people do both. They will offer the advice, and the distributor will then obviously help them they will also help them execute it as well, right? Then there are some other terms which are called as HNI or ultra HNI. What is HNI and UHNI? HNI stands for high net worth individual. Ultra HNI is ultra high net worth individual. Now, what is the definition? That definition can vary depending on internal guidelines set by companies. There are some companies who say that HNI is anyone greater than 1 crore of net worth. Remember the concept of net worth that we had discussed. So anyone greater than 1 crore of net worth is HNI, and anyone greater than 5 crore of net worth is ultra HNI, is ultra HNI, right? So that's 5 crore of net worth. But this definition is fuzzy. It depends on the entities that are there in the market. It doesn't depend. There's no hard and fast rule. ICICI Bank could have a different definition from India Infoline in the context of these definitions. But largely, someone with a lot of money is called a high net worth individual. Someone with a really big sum of money is known as ultra high net worth individual. Obviously, this is the segment that the market tries to kind of cater to the most extent, purely because a variety of services are needed, and hence the intermediaries, the advisors, and the product manufacturers can make a lot of money because of this segment. So now actually let's look at how does the market work, right? So there is a client who's seeking advice here. This client could be anyone. This could be an HNI. This could be an ultra HNI, or this could be a simple individual who's seeking advice for just a 5 lakh kind of a portfolio, right? The client has to go and find what is called as a product manufacturer. Now, this product manufacturer could again be anyone. It could be a bank. It could be what is called as a mutual fund company. It could be actual stocks that are listed on the stock exchange. It could be actual bonds that are available on the bond markets. Anything could qualify as a product manufacturer. One way is that the client could go directly to the product manufacturer. So the client can go directly to the product manufacturer because the client has an understanding of the market. So if I know what stocks I have to go and buy, I can do this directly on my own. I don't need anyone else in the segment to help me out there, right? The other way I can do is I can either go to take an advice from someone, right? And let's say someone gives me an advice and says invest in so and so product of so and so product manufacturer, and then I can go to what is called as an intermediary or a distributor and get my transaction executed via this intermediary and invest via this intermediary with the product manufacturer, correct? So these are the various ways I can go in. I can go with take the advice, I can go through the intermediary, I can go directly. Remember, advice per se does not give me an investment directly. So what happens logically is that this entire segment of advice and intermediation kind of start being given out by the same person or same entity. It makes logical sense that you give advice and you also allow the transaction to happen. Now, there are a lot of rules that are coming in this space, but typically what then that does is the client only goes once, gets the advice and gets the execution as well, right? So that's a logical extension of services that someone is offering. But now there are rules and regulations that are coming in that the same entity cannot do these two. We'll come to those rules when we look at the regulation part of the industry and what is essentially happening in the industry at this point of time, right? When we reach there, we will discuss that dynamic as we look at, but these are the major ways the investment world works. That's how the wealth advice is given. Typically, advisory would result in some sort of an investment, and hence you will require intermediation to kind of get that investment done. If you have all the knowledge yourself, you can go and do that directly on your own, right? For this, you probably need to know, find the office of the product manufacturer, or you can do it online as well. Just to quickly recap, clients could be HNIs, ultra HNIs, or individuals. The definition of HNI and ultra HNI varies depending on the companies that are offering those advice, right? So these are the major players who are there in the market. And if we remember, the first three in the market have their own clients to which they are extending this service. And these guys have to sort of find clients to which they have to offer the wealth management service, right? Those are the various market players that are available. You could go and do a little bit of research in terms of finding out on other bank websites as well whether they kind of do this, or other broker websites as well, as to whether they kind of give these services on wealth management. Try and look at the websites of all the names mentioned here in order to get a little bit of understanding on how this entire market works. And just like earlier, just as we end, try and answer these questions. List down all major players that are there in the wealth management market, and what are the various ways one can invest money with a product manufacturer in the wealth management market.